Today we're going to be talking about something completely different, and it really has a big impact because it can influence the outcome of local elections for the next 4 years. 4 years of influence. We're going to talk about that and how you fit into the power structure in your political party. That's coming up this week with the City County Observer. I'm Johnny Kincaid. Thanks for making some time to be here with us. Now look, we're going to talk about the parties, plural. I'm setting aside my own beliefs in politics for the sake of this show because the information is really applicable whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. And there's a really important meeting coming up for both parties on March 1st. It's what they call their reorganization meeting. And I don't necessarily care much for that term, but I don't know of a better term to use for the meeting. It's where they get a big caucus together of all of the precinct committeemen and the vice committeemen for each party. Separately, they're in different facilities doing this, but all on the same day. And those PCs and vice PCs then are going to select the leadership in the local party that will be in place for the next 4 years. They do it every 4 years. We just don't hear a whole lot about it. It's always on the first Saturday in March after the presidential election. And so that's where we're at now, with March 1st, 2025 being that reorganization meeting. And I want to talk about how we fit into it is, first of all, as precinct committee people, but even for the average person, what it all means to you, okay? And I want to start by saying that the most important person, as we go through this power structure of the party, keep in mind that ideally, the most important person in the party is you. You see, the structure is supposed to work from the grassroots up. And I know sometimes people get that turned around and we keep getting from the top down to the grassroots, and that's when things splinter and break apart and everything. And what I'm encouraged for both the Democrat Party and the Republican Party is that you get back to the grassroots, that you empower those individual volunteers the way that they should be empowered, so that, well, they're the base of power. They really are. And they're your volunteers. They're your workers. And they don't get treated that way because I don't know where things are in people's mindset, but for some reason, party leaders tend to ignore the people at the grassroots level. So we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to start with the structure of the party. And that structure starts at the top with the national committee, whether it's Democrat or Republican. It is your national committee that's kind of the starting point for things. And we'll run through this quick and then do more details on each one here in a second. But it's national committee. Then there's a state committee, obviously, that oversees the state. Duh. Go figure. A congressional district committee. And then there's the county committee. So that's the structure, and the big decisions are made at the top, at that national level, and then the state committee follows the rules that are laid out by the national, but then they establish their own rules, and then it goes down to the congressional district, and then down to the county committee from there. So if we're going to look at, first of all, your national committee, the purpose of that committee is to serve as kind of the governing body for your party. Again, whether you're Republican, Democrat, this is the national level governing body. They're the ones who are responsible for organizing the national conventions. Okay, so in the summer when they have the big convention every 4 years to nominate their presidential candidate and work on their their party platform. It's that national committee that's in charge of all of that. The national committee supports the presidential campaigns and the fundraising associated with that. And they do some with they tie in with the national Senate campaigns and the national congressional campaigns as well. So if you got those irritating texts during the presidential election year saying, "Hey, this is Marco Rubio, and we really need your help," and when you look at it, it wasn't Marco Rubio who sent that text. That irritating text and like 100 other ones that you might have received were all actually from marketing people at your national party, national committee, right? They developed the national platform, okay? And the parties have their platforms that give you an idea of what they believe. Now, if you're not really sure whether you are truly a Democrat or a Republican, I would highly recommend that you download a copy of the platform from their website or read it on the website, and you can make a determination from there, because the platform tells you, for example, if you are a Republican, they are, as a party, pro-life. As a party, they believe in lower taxes. As a party, they believe in less government involvement in our personal lives and affairs. That's what's on paper in the platform. Does it always get followed? No. If you're a Democrat, Democrats believe in choice. They believe in equity and inclusivity and those things. There are very definite differences there in the philosophies and the beliefs of the two parties. And unfortunately, we are living in a world where they've gotten very polarized and very much apart from each other and everything. So you get a pretty good picture, though, from just looking over that platform of where you think that you are going to be best suited to be. Which party do you align with the most? Now, also in that national committee, then, for leadership, they've got a chairman, they've got an executive leadership committee, and they kind of oversee everything on the national level. And then at the state level, then you have, of course, the state getting their cues from the national level, but at the state level, they coordinate party activities. That includes a state convention. Now, in Indiana, that convention happens for the parties every 2 years. In the presidential election year that we just finished in 2024, they determined who would be the lieutenant governor as the running mate for Mike Braun as our gubernatorial candidate. They determined who would be the attorney general candidate from the Republican Party. On the Democrat side, they made the same choices. And then they also work on tweaking the party's platform, and they try to kind of rally the troops and get people fired up and enthusiastic and everything. The platform gets tailored at the state level to state issues. So again, you want to know how you fit in? You want to know how much you agree with or disagree with the political party that you think you're aligning with? Read their platform. Because it might surprise you, because sometimes the parties don't always require that their candidates actually follow that platform. It's a platform that the party puts out that says this is what we as a party believe, but they still get candidates who don't believe all of that stuff. You still get some candidates who, for example, are Republicans when they run, but they believe in pro-choice. And they may believe in a whole lot of other things that are contrary to the state party. Personally, I think the platform should be one of the big litmus tests for candidates running for office. That they should be, that candidate, in alignment with the party who they're running on, right? Leadership in the state party, it's the state chairperson and a state committee. That state committee will sometimes be some of the people who are chairs at the county level. And of course, the state party receives resources and has a relationship with the national committee. Then there's the next rung down. This is the Congressional District Committee. Their purpose is to coordinate party activities in that congressional district. We have an 8th district person for both parties. That is a chairperson for that period. The members of this particular committee are just the members or just the county chairs that live within that district. So Vandenberg, Warwick, Summit, Posey, so on down the line, all of the counties in the 8th district, their chairperson is a member of that congressional district committee. Now this committee recruits candidates for House races. They work to engage voters and organize local campaigns if they're functioning ideally. But here's another important role that you need to bear in mind. They arbitrate disputes that happen at the county level. That was very apparent when the big blow-up took place in the Republican Party, and they ousted Michael Dougherty and Ken Kober and Cheryl Badiger Smith and kicked them out of their elected positions. And then they appealed that county decision to the 8th Congressional District, which, by the way, the people who are hearing that appeal are county chairpeople themselves. So, can you guess where their leaning will always be? They're probably going to, in the vast majority of cases, be siding with the county chairperson, not with the person who has the dispute there. All right, so you have them as the, I call it the appellate court, basically, for those disputes that might happen at the county level. Then at the county Republican Committee, this is the grassroots level of the party, okay? Because it's made up of the people who are elected to be precinct committee people and those who are selected then to be vice PCs. Okay? And you know, this used to be a position that was really underserved, that we really people didn't sign up for it in every precinct. And then last year there was a movement that took place and some recruiting that happened that brought in a record number of people to throw their hat into the arena to become precinct committee people. And they filled the majority of those PC slots in that election. It was absolutely amazing. But you know what happened? Because it was such a groundswell, the party bosses got suspicious. On the Republican side, they got suspicious. They were, concerned. This was all the way through the state level, not just Vandenberg County. Well, they were worried that all these new PCs are coming after the job of the chairman. And in the case of Vandenberg County, they were probably right. That there are some people coming after the job of the chairman, and they now have that opportunity with this meeting that's happening on March 1st. But it was huge, record numbers of people that signed up to become PCs and to become delegates to the convention. And it really concerned kind of the mainstay, the mainstream power people in the party, and those party bosses got really nervous about that. The job at the county level is to coordinate local election efforts, to coordinate the outreach that takes place, the door knocking and that sort of thing, phone calls that are made and everything. They support municipal and county level Republican candidate or candidates for their party. I'm sorry, my notes were, Anyway, so the leader is the county chairperson and committee members. Now it's called the Central Committee, and it's 4 people. It's the chairman, it's the vice chair, the treasurer, and the secretary. And those are the 4 kind of governing people in the county party. Now they're involved in fundraising. They do voter registration drives. They do community events, so on down the line. That's all kind of under their umbrella, and then all of the PCs are a part of that. And you might think that the party chairs would want to have lots of meetings, some training, some rah-rah sessions, especially during a really big presidential election year like we just went through. But, in 2024, we had very, very few get-togethers that the party put on for those precinct committeemen in either party. It was really surprising how little communication there is to those PCs, especially on the Republican side, but overall, little communications, little in the line of get-togethers, meetings, trainings, that sort of thing. And it just kind of really shocks me. So come March 1st, then all those PCs and their vices get the opportunity to determine who's going to lead their party on a local level over the course of the next 4 years. Now, this is really an important position, and we kind of let it go, and we don't think a whole lot about it, and sometimes people don't bother to show up for the reorganization meeting and all of that stuff. But I'm telling you, I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat, if you're an elected PC or you're a vice PC, go to that meeting on March 1st. Go to it and let your voice be heard. The party has a tendency to sometimes ignore the people at the grassroots, the people who are the real worker bees, the people who are, in my book, the most important people in the party, and they're going to get ignored. And they're the ones who are going to help determine whether we have winning strategies at the elections or not. So, man, you got to be there for it. All right, make sure that your voice is heard. Listen to what those people have to say. You should be looking for somebody who can be a communicator, who can convey a message to all the PCs about here's who we are and here's where we're going. Vision casting. And it should be somebody who's willing to work with candidates, who's willing to hear people out when they come forward to say that they're interested in running for an office, to have that discussion with that person. And that, because this is the only opportunity in 4 years that you'll have to do that, because the system is set up in such a way, the rules of the party protect the status quo. That's what bureaucracies do, is they protect the status quo. What we got now is what we're going to protect. And that's what the party will do. So this is the chance to turn things upside down, all right? And in the Republican Party, that's happened twice now at the state convention. If we go back to the last convention, of course, the conservatives in the party showed up as delegates, and they voted in Micah Beckwith to become the candidate for lieutenant governor and become Mike Braun's running mate, even though it wasn't Mike Braun's choice. That was the grassroots sending a message, taking power back. And what they're really saying, for those of you who are in power positions in the party at the state or local level, you should hear this, you should understand this, because what these people are saying is they want to take back control. They are fed up with having control being removed from the grassroots, and it's time for the grassroots to take the party over once again, regardless of party. The Republicans did it in the previous convention to that, when they just kind of blew everybody's mind. The conservatives got a bunch of people in as delegates for that convention, and Holly Sullivan, who had been for 4 years the Secretary of State under Governor Holcomb. I'm kind of laughing about this because it was so kind of off the rails. Nobody would have expected this to happen, that you take the sitting Secretary of State, and at the convention would flip everything over, and instead of keeping the Secretary of State, who the governor is very, very happy with, and instead vote in Diego Morales, who Diego's been doing a marvelous job on his own. But that the point is, they were sending a message. We are taking back our party. And at that local level, here at the county level, that's where that control can be taken back on March 1st. So I want to encourage you to look at the people who throw their hat into that arena. Determine what their philosophies are. How are they going to communicate? Are they going to cast a vision? Are they going to help the party? Or are they going to try to control the party? See, that whole control thing, that's not what, you don't want a control freak as your county chairperson. You want a facilitator as your county chairperson. You want a coach as your county chairperson. So in both parties, you're going to have some choices. And you'll have the opportunity on March 1st to elect a new chairperson, a vice chair, a secretary, and a treasurer. That's your central committee. That's your governing body. And they're the people who, man, they will, people on that governing body can be the huge workhorses for the party and do a tremendous amount. But you got to get the right people in there. Think about who's right for the party. Who's right to grow your tent? See, and this is true whether you're Republican or Democrat. You don't want the ideologues on one end or the other end to be running the show. You want this bigger tent, because that's how you win elections. I contend this, that what happens on March 1st will determine the outcome of elections on the local level for the next 4 years. Traditionally, for the city of Evansville, the elections within the city, there's a strong Democrat leaning overall for people living within the city limits. And so the Democrats tend to win more of those seats. But see, in the past, it's been a 5-4 before. 5 Democrats, 4 Republicans. It's been 6-3 before, back to 5-4. Right now, it's 8-1. 8 Democrats, 1 Republican. And I'm pretty sure that they might have taken that ninth seat if they'd put anybody. Angela had nobody running against her, but it was a year in that city election year that the Democrats just absolutely swept things. People want to blame the fact that Michael Dougherty ran as a libertarian for the fact that there were problems for the Republicans, but it wasn't just the mayor's race that Michael got into where the Republicans struggled, and it was the entire city. It was the city council. It was every office. And traditionally, we see a little bit more balance to things between the parties in the city elections, but it's still kind of dominated by the Democrats. And then in county elections, outside of the incorporated city limits, those county elections, that's where we tend to see the Republicans sweep things. And a lot of times, we get a lot of uncontested races in those county races just because, well, the other party says, hey, we don't have a chance there. We might as well not waste our resources on trying to get somebody in. I contend that over the course of the next 4 years, that we'll see Republicans losing those county seats if we don't get our house in order in the party. And that means having the right person at the helm for the next 4 years. I'm not going to tell you who that is because I don't know who else is going to run. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not here to tell you how to vote. But I am here to tell you that if the Republican Party doesn't get it right, they're going to be losing elections that traditionally they just strolled into. And for the Democrats, I'd say that you could face some of the same issues if your party starts becoming fragmented and everything. So this election on reorganization day, March 1st, for those who are precinct committeemen or vice PCs, this is an important time for you to be there, for you to vote for the right person, for the right reasons, and make sure that your party is in tip-top shape for the next 4 years. Show up when they start doing, whenever the party bosses decide that they're actually going to have their party breakfasts again, whenever they decide that might be a good idea to do, even if you're not a PC or a vice PC, I suggest that you go to those breakfasts. Go and learn more about the people who are running that party. See whether you want to become even more involved or not. And it all hinges on a get-together for the party on March 1st. All right, so that's your lesson on how the structure works within the party. It's the grassroots that really matters. It's time for you and I, regardless of our party affiliation, to take control, to take the grassroots and put them to work. For the grassroots to be what we've always supposed to be, which is we're supposed to be the arms and legs of the party in the community. But it takes the right leadership to get us to that point where we will see more and more people involved. It's the cornerstone of any political party is the grassroots. It's time for leadership to see that and understand that. All right, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, okay? We'll see you again next time on the next adventure here on This Week. Remember to like and share the program so that other people get a chance to see this, and that you subscribe because we've got some great episodes coming your way in the very near future. Thanks for joining us again. I'm Johnny Kincaid with This Week in the City County Observer.